Hello, everyone. I'm Meher Walia, and welcome to Finding Finance, the podcast where we delve into the different subfields of finance. This podcast aims to help high schoolers who are contemplating a career in finance understand the different paths in the world of finance and help them find which path interests them the most. Our esteemed guest today is Ross Labelson. Mr. Labelson is the founder and CEO of Buckle Down. He started his business while still in college and has grown it into a leader in the design and manufacturing of licensed fashion accessories. They have been creating innovative products like seatbelt belts, seatbelt buckle keychains, and seatbelt buckle dog collars for people and pets for over 30 years. He has been granted U.S. patents for dog collars, seatbelt buckle, keychains, lanyards, fingerboards, skateboard ramps, and even the design for an optical display. They hold multiple trademarks for the seatbelt belt and various other trade names and logos. This is true entrepreneurial spirit. Our conversation today will focus on patents and licensing. I hope you enjoy our conversation with Mr. Labelson. Mr. Labelson, thank you for joining us today. It is a pleasure to have you on the show.
Here, thank you for having me.
Let's start at the very beginning. Give me some insight into what your childhood was like. Where did you grow up? What were your favorite subjects in school? What were some of your favorite hobbies?
Well, Meher, I grew up here on Long Island, New York, middle-class neighborhood. I attended the local public high school. My father was a high school chem teacher. My mom taught adult education classes. In school, I was a STEM kid. Math, science came easily to me. I was also interested in what was called at the time Tech Mech in the 1980s. Unlike the other honors track students, I took electives like technical drafting and machine shop. I would say I learned as much from my shop teacher in high school as I did my chemistry teacher, if not more. Spending part of my day in what was essentially trade school shaped my perspective on people and work. I learned that there are many different ways to be smart. My hobbies in high school included BMX bikes, skateboarding, skiing, motorcycles, auto mechanics. Before I was even old enough to drive, I'd built a street-legal kit car in my parents' garage.
So some pretty technical classes and some niche hobbies. Very interesting. Wow. A car in the garage. Incredible. So after high school, you attended Harvey Mudd College and graduated in 1994 with a master's degree in systems engineering. What was college like?
So in 1989, Harvey Mudd College was no joke. They accepted valedictorians and salutatorians from high schools across the country. If you weren't number 1 or 2 in your high school, you weren't getting in. My freshman class was 80% engineering majors, 80% men, and 100% of that incoming freshman class assumed they would continue to be number 1 or 2 in their new class. You do not need a degree from Harvey Mudd to figure out how many of those kids were still number 1 or 2 come graduation day. In short, transitioning to life at Harvey Mudd was jarring, for lack of a better word. In those years, 33% of the freshman class dropped out or transferred within 3 years. So I made it through. I did actually well academically, but I was not number 1 or 2 in my class. Let's just say there's a lot of really smart people in the world that I hadn't planned on.
Wow, 33% dropping out. That is something. What inspired you to major in systems engineering?
So in high school, I was a smart kid that happened to like to fix mechanical things. I liked working on cars. I liked working on motorcycles. But since I was smart, my guidance counselor said I should go be an engineer. What did I know? Tip to some of your listeners. Engineering school is a lot of math and science. I didn't learn to fix anything. There's very little physical anything in the curriculum besides a graphing calculator. In hindsight, I should have looked up the word engineer in the dictionary before going. But that said, it ended up being a great experience.
given, you majoring in systems engineering, and then talk with your guidance counselor, what was your intention after college?
So originally, I was always interested in entrepreneurship and business. During college, I stuck around. I actually stayed around for a master's degree in systems engineering because I thought that was a good way to kind of integrate all the knowledge from mechanical, electrical, chemical. And as it turned out, that integration served me well as the owner of a manufacturing company. The knowledge has come in pretty handy, and the broad general degree has worked out well.
Oh, yes. And, speaking of your manufacturing company, you did impressively start Buckle Down while in college. What is Buckle Down, and why did you start it?
So I think Buckle Down's origin story may help answer your next few questions related to starting it. But 1989, barely 18 years old, my parents put me on an airplane, sent me out to Los Angeles to go to school in Claremont, California. Fortunately, I have an uncle that lived in Los Angeles, and he had a classic 1976 Datsun 280Z that he was generous enough to lend me to drive while I was at school. Unfortunately, that was not a new car in 1989, and within weeks I found myself in the junkyards of Southern California searching for replacement parts just to keep the car running. One Saturday, while I was rummaging through a junkyard looking for a part that had failed for the second time on the Datsun, I had the creative idea of using an old car seatbelt buckle as a belt buckle to hold up my pants. Repurposing auto parts was something I was familiar with from building a kit car in high school. So the idea seemed to just made sense to me at the time, and I left the junkyard with a left door handle for a Datsun and an old Cadillac buckle that still had about a foot of seatbelt webbing, the fabric from seatbelts attached to either side of it. Went back to my dorm room, and later that afternoon, I ended up stapling the webbing to a pair of jeans I owned. I didn't think far enough ahead to take enough webbing out of the junkyard to make it all the way around my waist. And that night, I wore the jeans with the stapled on webbing and buckle to a college party. The guys in my dorm looked at me, said, "You're an idiot." The woman at the party looked at me and said, "Hey, can you make me one of those belts?" So from there, that was a prototype proof of concept. If it wasn't stapled to my body, it would have been stolen by the end of the night. And, that's what your modern tech bro would call product market fit. Realized quickly that I had a product that resonated with my peers. And that was the beginning of Buckle Down, or the beginning of manufacturing a single product.
Well, that was pretty interesting. That one Cadillac car seat belt, and then going to the party and someone coming up to you. What a way to start. What was it like, starting the business in college, and what did your days entail?
So in college, as I mentioned, I was studying for my engineering degree and applying for a master's program. So at the meantime, I'm sewing belts in my college dorm room. And I'd love to speak to just starting a business in college. For me, actually was one of the most impactful things I could ever do. Number one, I had a social network built in. I had a professional network built in. I was living on campus. All of my first customers were fellow students, so they were there. I remember one night there was a line formed outside my dorm room of kids wanting to buy a belt. I'm sewing them one at a time. World Wide Web didn't exist for another year after that, so built-in marketing. I had a professional network of professors literally included with the cost of tuition, so I would go to them. I had consultants available to me daily, all inclusive, teaching classes and giving me advice on business during office hours. So for your listeners, college is a really unique time and place in your life. 24/7 access to a factory, had my dorm room, had everyone else's dorm room. College didn't charge me anymore if you used your dorm room to run a business than it did if you were studying there. I had multiple students sewing belts in their dorm rooms. I had students every weekend coming with me to scour junkyards for more buckles. Yeah, the college campus was, like I said, it was my customers, it was my factory, it was my market research, my labor, and it ended up being my salespeople as well. My first retail account that I sold belts to was because a friend of someone in my dorm owned a skate shop right in downtown Claremont, California, shop called Vertigo Skate. First shop to ever buy wholesale from me. I walked in, I said, "Hey, could you guys just put these in the case on consignment, please, please?" The guy looked at him, he goes, "Dude, these are going to sell. Here." Just took money out of the register and bought everything I had. He's like, "Yeah, no, these are great." So starting a business on a college campus for me, and I think for everyone else, has some real advantages.
Yeah, I see. So many different elements that could just help you, and just always something there. It seemed like you're a student in the daytime, and by night you're an entrepreneur, manufacturer, and a seller.
I was a lot of things, yes.
Did you always know you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
Yes, I did always want to be an entrepreneur, Maher. Even though I didn't know what the word entrepreneur meant at the time until years later. But by 13 years old, I was already thinking years ahead of the rest of the business world. Elementary school, I had a paper route, and I added a Sunday bagel delivery as an option onto my paper route. Customers would fill out a paper order form during the week, and then I'd deliver a dozen assorted bagels wherever they chose. They got to choose what assortment they wanted. They got the bagels delivered Sunday morning with their newspaper. I think for your listeners that are doing the math, I think I beat DoorDash to the idea by something like, 30 years. I did door-to-door magazine subscription sales for the rewards they used to give you out of the back of the book. I flipped motorcycles and go-karts for money in high school. Freshman year in college, purchased a bunch of used coin-operated stand-up video games. And then I had a partner there. We rented spaces on campus. We paid monthly, and then we collected all the quarters. So in short, yes, business entrepreneurship interested me from an early age.
So many different ventures I see with like creativity sprouting out all over. Something I bet we'll see down the road when we talk about Buckle Down. So what were some of the biggest challenges you faced in the early days of Buckle Down?
So as I mentioned, we were selling belts that actually came out of the back seat of old cars. So my biggest challenge early on was sourcing. I was traveling every weekend with a team of like college students, wherever I could find. I was getting like brothers and cousins of college students, if they were local, to help me out on weekends. We'd go all throughout the Southwest, California, Nevada, Arizona, going to junkyards, especially ones where it was called a self-service junkyard. You could pay an admission fee to get in, and then you would pay per part. It's, Arizona is hot, dirty, physical work outside, climbing into the back seat of cars with a pair of scissors to cut out the seatbelt buckles. Cars may have been sitting for months in a field. Junkyards in Arizona, 114 degrees during the day outside. One of the students put his arm down to rest on the hood of a car in Arizona. Top layer of skin instantly seared off, just peeled off his arm. He didn't even feel it. Another student reached into the back, got bit by a scorpion in the desert. There was rattlesnakes in cars. You'd open the door. So sourcing was my biggest issue, and the biggest source of some fun memories.
Yes.
To put it in financial terms for your listener, there was an interesting moat to competition. You had to be willing to do some dirty, hard work to get enough supply of recycled buckles. And then you were negotiating with these managers to buy the buckle at not the regular price. They want to sell you a $24 buckle. I was buying 1,000 buckles, had to talk them down to, somewhere in the dollar range. They would only accept cash, a lot of these places. And believe it or not, junkyards are not located in Beverly Hills. I spent weekends in some interesting places with some interesting people. So those were the challenges back in '93.
Those must have been some wild stories. Did you have like a favorite car buckle or one you like tended to prefer from a car?
I preferred the ones with the old Cadillac logos, 1970s Cadillacs. In my opinion, had the best buckles.
Oh yeah, it must be like a cool design right there in and of itself. That crest
with the crest, yeah, absolutely.
So Buckle Down has grown into a very large and successful brand. How did you go about building a customer base and getting your products noticed sort of out of college and in that realm?
So remember, 1993, there's no Amazon, there's no Google, didn't exist yet. I had my network of college students that were introducing me to any local skate shop owners or friends they had. And then, as there exists today, physical trade shows were really the only way to reach that broader audience. You had to find space in a booth and show up. So back to relationships and friends. A relationship with one of the skate shops, the owner introduced me to another young owner of a SoCal skate brand. Met up with him and said, "Hey, do you want to share a booth at the upcoming skateboarding show?" It was called Action Sports Retailer. The show was in San Diego. And the guy agreed to rent me some space. He was doing the show. He took some money and let me share some space in the booth to meet people. So that's kind of how we got the word out.
So that's how you expanded and grew.
Was physical trade shows. We also sewed in. I made up labels with my phone number, and they were sewn into every belt.
Oh, wow. So, like, you could always check it right there. You'll always know.
So that when people saw it word of mouth, they can call and find out how to order belts.
Oh, pretty neat idea right there.
No
right
websites,
there.
Just a phone number with a phone with a cord attached to the wall.
Did you have any other products besides the seatbelt belt at that time?
At that time, it was a one product. So backing up, it was a one product manufacturing company. I had a product. Although we did register a company name and get a bank account. It was a product. We had one good, solid, high quality product at that time.
Yes, stick to what you know and what you have.
For the first 2 or 3 years.
So now let's get into patents and licensing, some key elements when selling consumer products. You hold patents for some of your products. What are patents?
So patents are a legal right granted by the government after reviewing your patent application for an inventor to have kind of exclusive control over the invention for a certain amount of time, so that only you can benefit from selling certain items for either 15 or 20 years, depending on what kind of patent.
And so someone else can't go and just copy my idea straight up because that's sort of protection, right?
Correct. It gives you that head start, that kind of mini monopoly for a certain number of years because you thought up a novel product, you registered it, and you're rewarded for that invention.
How do you file a patent? Is it possible for anyone to do it?
These days, it is possible to file one yourself online. You don't need a lawyer. Well, a person wouldn't need a lawyer. I personally benefited for using one of the best patent firms right off the bat. Again, my network of relationships, I got lucky. Someone knew someone who was actually dating a lawyer at a top U.S. patent firm. I got the introduction. They helped me with some of the early patents. When and if someone decides to infringe on your patent, it was nice to have one of the top 3 firms send a nice letter out. And it seems people read the letter. They know that they assume that you are paying back then $600 an hour. Now it's $1,500 an hour. They take that into consideration and they say, you know what? We are not going to mess with this person. And they back down. So my recommendation is if you do have a good product, one of your better patent attorneys, there is a benefit down the road if you do need to enforce your patent.
So
That's my advice.
Makes the competitors go woof away.
Yes, the competitors say, oh, crap. We don't want to get involved in fighting this.
How did patents help Buckle Down grow?
Having a patent helped in a few ways. That little monopoly time it gave us got us an audience, number one, with the larger licensors, like a Disney, and it got us an audience with the larger chains, like a Hot Topic. You have to remember that retail stores have their own private label manufacturing. So without a patent or trademark protection, that retailer may simply just make the product on their own with their own manufacturer for less money, put their label in it, and sell it to their customers. Licensing companies like Warner Brothers will engage with a smaller company like Buckle Down because we're the only producer that can offer a popular product that happens to be selling into a channel they covet. They like selling to teenagers. They love that we sell to, pet owners that are, 25 to 35 years old. Having a patent and being granted a patent by the U.S. Patent Office shows that you're an innovative company. Someone at the Patent Office went through and said, yeah, this is novel, this is new, and you're the first person to think of it. So that kind of gives you some status to go sign deals with a big licensing company because they know you're on the forefront of design or fashion, and a professional actually agrees with that. So the patents really did a lot for us. It kept us from getting, knocked out by larger accessory companies early in the game. A buyer at a store also has their favorite supplier. If they could use a different supplier that they have a relationship with, that they have better trade terms with, they'll go with someone else. So having an exclusive product mixed with the top licenses really made us a clear choice for the buyers. Those patents and those unique products really helped us to grow.
I see. And the patent was not only a legal protection, but also gave, like you said, a status. Helped you negotiate better, helped bigger companies approach you, gave them more reason to.
Correct. And if, obviously, supply and demand, if there's no other supply, you have a little bit of pricing power because they can't go to your competitor.
Yeah, which majorly helped you as well.
Yes, it did.
So you did mention licensing in there. What is licensing?
So licensing is when you pay a company or a person to use their intellectual property. So intellectual property could be, a patented invention like mine. It could be a person's face or likeness, a musical creation, or in our case, we license logos and artwork from movies. We license artwork from TV shows or comic books, bands, automotive brands. For example, we would pay Disney to put images of Mickey Mouse on our belts, on our wallets or dog collars. And then we'd license auto brands like Ford, GM, Honda, Toyota, Dodge, to put their logos on the seatbelt buckle, which is a great fit. Obviously, seatbelt buckles are found in cars, and they get paid to allow us to sell product with their logos on it.
I see. And what is the process in licensing a product?
So the process in licensing is agreeing on a licensing contract. You have to find out who is actually offering the rights to these products. Some companies offer the rights directly. Others use a licensing agency to offer these rights. As far as what the license contains, a licensing agreement typically is a long contract, spells out how much you will pay the licensor to license a very specific property to use on a specific set of products to sell to a specific type of customer in a specific part of the world for a specific time. So there's a lot in a licensing agreement, all of which is important. You do not get, contrary to what a lot of people think, you don't get free range to put Mickey Mouse on any product you want just because you have a Disney license. I cannot make flip-flops with Mickey Mouse, but I can make dog collars, dog toys, belts, and wallets. And then you pay them for that right, pretty much a payment that's broken down into two parts. You have to offer them a minimum guarantee that you're going to pay them over that time period, no matter what. If you sell nothing, you still owe them that amount. Once you sell enough products where your licensing fee, your rate that you're going to pay them on sales, covers that minimum guarantee, then you continue to pay them an agreed upon rate, a percent. If it's 10% of your sales, that goes to the licensing company. So it's a long, detailed contract that spells out all of those specifics of what you can and can't do and how much you're going to pay for that right.
What are some of the key benefits and challenges of working with licensed brands?
So there are a lot of key there's a lot of key benefits. There's a lot of key challenges. The benefits probably outweigh the challenges, which is why we and so many other people, try to sign licensing deals. The key benefit is visibility and credibility. Millions of people recognize Spider-Man. I think there's 10 or 11 people in the world that can identify the Buckle Down logo. By paying for the rights to put Spider-Man on our products, more customers buy the product, and hopefully they pay more for it. So we're paying for brand recognition, and by doing so, it also gives Buckle Down some decent credibility with our customers. It's not easy to get these licenses, and people know that. So if you're a Disney licensee, that says something about your company. You have to be able to jump through some hoops and prove that you're legitimate. Now, Disney and the licensing companies, they also benefit from partnering with companies like mine because we bring them some demographics and some channels that they may miss. Teenagers that shop in the specialty stores we sell to, pet owners that shop on Chewy now can buy licensed dog collars on a pet website. So they get visibility. Someone goes to buy a pet product, they see Disney, they see Warner Brothers, they see, Scooby-Doo. And they benefit from having their product there. And they benefit from us paying them a royalty for being there. And we benefit because Chewy and some of these sites are happy to put our products online. As far as the pitfalls of licensing, there are a lot of details. Licensing is expensive, and you have to follow their rules to the letter. So it's I would not say it's for the faint of heart.
So it does have it's a mutual relationship, helps both parties, but there are still like a lot of nitty gritties you have to abide by.
It is a contract, and you really have to read through. We provide production samples to the licensor of every product, sometimes yearly. So you have to really look at how many are required, when they're required. There's fine print about selling products back to them, sometimes at cost, selling to their partners at my cost. So there's a lot where you would be well advised to possibly have a lawyer read over some of these contracts before jumping in full steam. That said, it has been terrific for Buckle Down over the last 30 years.
Yes, it has. And how did you land your first licensing deal? And what was that process like with your first experience?
So, in the beginning, we only sold belts that had logos that the car company had printed on the buckle. If we found a buckle with a Cadillac logo, that was a Cadillac belt. Ford, GM, there was some even Subaru. That's what we were selling. And our first men's apparel goods show in Las Vegas had a booth. We had our belts out, and a rep that had worked for an auto company came by, looked at the display, said, "Hey, those are cool. Where's my logo? Why don't you have our company logo?" I said, you guys never put your logo on the buckles when you made the cars back in the 70s. And she looked over, she saw her competitors' logos. We were in the streetwear section, the place everyone wanted to be. It was the thriving, busy section of the show. And she said, okay, we have to change that. And she followed up. And my first licensing deal was with one of the largest auto companies. And it's funny, that took off. That brought me other auto companies. And that first relationship, believe it or not, that same person ended up working over at Hello Kitty in their licensing department. So I went from a niche seatbelt belt automotive company into the pop culture licensing. And that first, one of those first relationships opened up a whole world of not only licenses, but new products as well.
Oh, wow. So just that one thing allowed you to grow massively and just really help down the line too.
Just early relationships and showing up in person.
What was that feeling like when she went up to you at the trade show and said, "Where's mine?"
It was interesting. Licensing was honestly nowhere on my radar. I did not know what licensing was. I learned they sent over a contract. They were chasing me. So it was great, and it worked out. It worked out really well. And again, our licensor benefited. All of a sudden, it was the first time an automotive brand was being sold and getting paid. There was obviously lots of bootleg back then stuff in the streetwear section at a fashion show.
Oh, wow.
And we brought that to them. They brought us kind of that entree into the licensing world.
Oh, wow. How do you decide which brands or characters to license?
So as far as new licenses go, I have a sales team that meets with retailers on a daily, weekly basis. So we always, if one of our customers wants something, of course we chase it down for them. That's what we do. We're at the buyer's service. We chase down the license. Hopefully it's someone we've dealt with before, so we can get that license and fulfill that. Our retail website also has a search bar, and we watch what people type in and look for on our site, especially the things we don't currently have. If we see a lot of interest for a new license or something that's not on our radar, we search it out and try to sign a deal.
So just seeing, what's popular at the time and jumping on that.
Correct. So, a lot of people think you're working for yourself, but honestly, we're working for our customers. Mm-hmm. The customer would like to buy something. It's my job to try and make that happen, especially if it's on a belt, on a wallet, on a pet accessory. If they want it, my job is to figure it out and sell it to them.
Mm-hmm. Are there any specific licenses that have had a major impact on Buckle Down's visibility or sales?
There are actually. So obviously the larger companies like Disney, Star Wars, Marvel, Warner Brothers, Nickelodeon, Harry Potter, all huge for us. Recently, there's been some fun upside surprises on licenses like Peanuts, Scooby-Doo, Coca-Cola. And then, licensors like us, because we manufacture here in America. We manufacture, we pretty much, everything's made to order on the belts. So we develop really deep into a lot of these licenses. So it's not only the top characters in a comic book or a movie, but all the minor characters we have product for. So if you're a fan and you want some character that you can't find anywhere else, we may have it. In automotive, some of the sub-brands, some of the stuff like Toyota TRD, we have that. Mopar, we have that. So licensors like us because we go deep. We manufacture here. We can make one of something. We don't have to make 10,000 and ship it in from China.
So a lot of flexibility.
So there's a lot of flexibility. I think we offer 160,000 different SKUs. We've manufactured, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 unique different items over the years.
Oh, wow. What does your typical day entail today?
So today, I'm no longer sewing all the belts myself in my dorm room today. But that said, we have a pretty large manufacturing facility, here in Long Island, New York. So my day involves a lot related to getting out thousands of products a day. A given day, I could be helping to fix critical equipment. I could be dealing with employment responsibilities, hiring, firing. I'm involved in all of the new technology discussions, most of the new contracts, approvals of all vendor payments, contract negotiations. Some full days I'm spending on product development, planning what we're going to offer for the next season. 4 times every year, my days are full of just royalty reporting. Quarterly, we have to pay all of these licensors. So it could be millions of dollars going out, checking reports, sending ACHs and wires to the corresponding companies. My daily schedule as the owner of Buckle Down is not static by any means.
So very dynamic, clearly.
It is a very dynamic schedule. Again, the general engineering degree, with a minor, by the way, in economics, was actually the perfect education for what I ended up doing.
Oh, it must have worked wonders. How do you see the licensing landscape evolving in the next few years?
There's been a lot of consolidation in the licensing world, even over the past 10 years. Disney now owns Star Wars as well as Marvel. Netflix just announced they're going to be trying to buy Warner Brothers. We'll see if it goes through. So it means that there's going to be a lot less people in actual licensing departments that are managing more properties. I think the top licenses are going to be worth more than ever. The consolidation in media is going to shrink. It's going to shrink the number of outlets for a lot of this media. So I think, like I said, the top licenses are going to be key. And a lot of the smaller ones just aren't going to get the visibility with all this consolidation.
And how do you think technology and AI might impact licensing in the future?
So technology and AI, it's already changed the way we develop a lot of products. You can go on my website right now. You can upload a picture of you with a background outside. AI will crop your face out of the background. It'll insert your face into one of our licensed designs, or it'll put your face in a $100 bill right on the website. Technology will send that directly to my manufacturing facility. We will print out a one-of-a-kind wallet. It will ship within 24 hours to your door. You'll be notified of tracking. We'll bill you. We'll get paid. Everything automatically because of AI and technology. We have some licensed designs where you can put for instance, your pet's name, your phone number on top of a licensed background. It all happens seamlessly, especially technology, number one, and the AI is making it fun. You can put your pet's picture on a pillow at my company. It all happens seamlessly. The files are created by AI. Obviously, all these digital printers output the product, and literally a day or two later, it's at your door.
So many new possibilities and avenues.
Correct. It's amazing, and it's getting a lot more personalized. So licensed, yet personalized. So you could be the only one with that, Batman outfit, but it has your eyes behind the Batman mask, and it's positioned on a wallet exactly how you want it. Warner Brothers gets paid. You have a one-of-a-kind wallet that's also licensed. So we're coming into more of a personalized future where you can have some really fun licensed products that no one else has.
Wow. I know we've discussed so many so many fun and interesting stories you've had along your journey starting Buckle Down. Can you tell me about one of your most exciting business deals?
Sure. It's been 33 years, but believe it or not, one of the most exciting deals that kind of set the tone for me in business was actually one of my first big deals. As I mentioned earlier, I shared a booth at the ASR, the Action Sports Retailer Trade Show in San Diego back in '93. Literally, I think maybe it wasn't even shared. I may have had a quarter or an eighth of someone's booth that I gave someone who was a stranger a day before $200 to set up a mannequin, a crash test dummy mannequin covered in seatbelt belts in the corner of this skate brand's booth at the show. And this is a show where skate shop owners would come to buy merchandise for their retail stores. 1993, California street fashion was also huge in Japan. So there was groups of Japanese buyers with translators, also shopping at this show. So I'm standing there. I was already thrilled because I'd taken orders for 12 belts, 24 belts from all these mom and pop skateboarding shops. And a Japanese buyer with his translator comes into the booth. They love the skate brand that, I'm sharing the booth with. They're talking to that guy, crazy numbers for their, however many stores in Japan. And the buyer walks over, he glances at my belt display, and he tells the translator, he goes, yeah, I don't think those would sell too well in Japan. He goes, but I'll test some. I'll test some anyway. I don't think it's going to work, but we'll try some. And back then, we had a clipboard with pen and paper. You're writing orders on pen and paper, and it was carbon paper. So you're writing on the top sheet, and there's carbon. It makes 3 copies. And he starts writing, and he writes an order for 6,000 belts at $9 each. And that's just because he has no faith that they're going to sell well. So he'll try 6,000 belts for me. Now, remember, I'm cutting buckles out one at a time in junkyards. And then I'm bringing them back to my dorm room. I'm washing them with Dawn soap and Brillo because there's, blood from some previous accident on the buckle. And I'm washing them in my dorm room sink. And he just ordered 6,000 to be delivered to, some freight forwarder in downtown Los Angeles. I could not hide my shaking hand as I'm giving him a copy, his pink copy of the order. And my hand is shaking, going, how am I going to deliver 6,000 belts, in a month? And I think that was still one of the most exciting things to set the tone. And I delivered in full. The poor guy I shared a booth with that took a $250,000 order, he never delivered and is no longer in business, but I'm still standing. So, wow. So that was an exciting story. And it just said, it's a big world out there.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious, how did you go about getting so many belts from those cars? You must have went scavenger hunting, basically.
Again, having relationships, teams, friends, being on a campus where you can rally people who believed. That was the other thing. I had a tribe of friends that believed in the product. They believed in me. And we used to go out and get, 2,000 buckles a day. Go to 40-acre junkyards and rip through with 4 guys carrying buckets of buckles. And then filling a whole trunk of my car and driving them back.
Oh, wow.
So that's a story that will always stick with me. And again, that set the tone for Buckle Down, and that it set the tone for, if you get the orders, you figure out how to fill the orders. Mm-hmm. A lot of companies don't get that simple concept.
Always a way. Always a way. And was there one story that made you learn a life lesson?
So I guess it's a group of stories tied back to that first licensing deal I did with the person from an automotive company. And the life lesson is you build some of these relationships early in your career. And those relationships are really what helps you to get to the next stage. The relationships with buyers as they move from store to store was huge for me. Licensing coordinators, as someone goes from an automotive company up to Hello Kitty, which was big at the time, and you're their first call,
So let's shift to some out-of-work activities. On a lighter note, how do you spend your free time? What are some of your favorite hobbies?
So living on Long Island, I really enjoy taking advantage of being near the Long Island Sound. Kayak fishing with my younger son, Aaron, is one of my favorite things to do. Big fan of the Hobie pedal fishing kayaks. Enjoy mountain biking on the Long Island's green belts, and skiing with 2 of my boys is also where I have fun. So overall, I take advantage of what Long Island and New York has to offer and outdoor activities.
A lot of similar hobbies from before, as you mentioned, when you were a kid.
That is true. That is true.
So now for the question I ask every guest on my podcast. For kids in high school and college looking to enter the world of finance, what advice would you have?
There's an old expression that youth is wasted on the young. My advice is don't waste the advantages of your youth. Grind when you have the energy, when you don't need the sleep, when you don't have a mortgage, when you don't have kids to feed. Take some chances now when you're young. The downside is relatively small. Start a business. Take a job where you can learn by doing. Show up physically, show up mentally. the slogan for the lottery is right. You got to be in it to win it. If you don't show up, nothing's going to happen. So my advice is to get out there, show up, take some chances now when you can. Keep in mind, as my son Aaron always says, that hard is not easy, and that's the point. Do the hard work early. People don't realize the results are cumulative. If you keep going, the results pile up. So do as much of the hard work early as you can. For a lot of your listeners, finance specific, one thing I've learned in life, if you want to make a lot of money for yourself, make someone else even more money. In my experience, we've made our retail stores tens of millions of dollars in revenue. We've made licensors millions of dollars in revenue. And the reason I only make a pretty good living, is that I've helped other people earn millions of dollars. So that's good advice. If you could find a way where you can help someone else make a lot of money, you will do just fine. So that's some of my advice there. One often overlooked thing for young people is that there's some really good classic books out there. Like I encourage people. People didn't tell me when I was in high school. I figured it out in college when people actually mentioned there's some classics that people should try to read or listen to that actually help. The world in the last 1,000 years hasn't changed as much as you think. People, human nature is human nature. So I recommend, if you've got the free time, some of the classics: How to Make Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, Innovation and Entrepreneurship by Peter Drucker. One for you guys, The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. Have you read that one?
Yes, I have.
Great book. If you're really serious, The Intellectual Life by Friar Sertolangis or something. That's a serious book. You'll see that every recent podcast, every TikTok person that's popular, read The Intellectual Life. You'll say, wow, someone figured this out hundreds of years ago. It's the same story. And then finally, build good relationships early. The relationships I've built with friends, with people in retail, with people in licensing, really have helped Buckle Down become what it is today. Those relationships and maintaining them. And that's my advice. Get out there and, as they say, actually show up and do it. And thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much for, your thoughtful and insightful pieces of advice. You are a clear example of putting in the hard work and making success come from it. So thank you for sharing your journey with us.
Thank you, Maher.
Thanks.
My pleasure.
Thanks for listening.